Welcome to the Mirage Guide, the Bombardier frame, the Jester frame, at least in appearances only. I don't think she really has anything in our kit that says she's Super Jester Trickster frame, but that's besides the point. Absolute nuking DPS frame, but she's very weapon based. Her abilities aren't going to be nuking, your weapons are. That's the best part. You could rock whatever, and it makes it insane. Her Eclipse, insane damage buff. Her clones bust her damage even more. What else could you want? I love Mirage. She's one of my favorite frames within the past year. I love spamming relics with her and nuking tile sets. I love doing arbitrations with her and just nuking the amount of enemies that spawn in those missions. It's a good time. So let's get into my loadout here. So on her, of course, I'm going to run AoE weapons because, you get those sick clones. They also get your AoE weapons. AoE damage goes through walls. So what's not to love? More AoE, the better. AoE meta. You got these Wukongs spamming their Brahmas and spamming their Kuvazars with one clone. Well, play Mirage, and now you have 4 clones spamming your Zars and Brahmas and Ogresses. Huh? Where are the Wukong's other clones? That's what I'm saying. Alright. So, why the Ogress? Why not the Meta Zar? Why not the Meta Brahma? Well, the Ogress is really good for arbitrations because it's secret little strat you need to know here. Alright? So there's an augment for the Ogress called Nightwatch Napalm, and it spawns Napalm at each rocket, okay? That fire damage can be buffed by Mirage's Eclipse, Oberon's Smite with the one augment that gives it radiation damage, Rhino's Roar, Saren's one augment that gives stuff more toxin damage. All those things can buff the Nightwatch Napalm fire. And if you know anything about arbitration drones, they have shield gating, so you're never going to one-hit an arbitration drone. But with the Ogress, you kinda can. So you shoot your first rocket at this arbitration drone. Boom, shields are dead. The shields are weak. Alright? As long as you have your buff on and the fire ticks, the fire, most times, 1 to 2 shot the drone right afterwards with your buff. So you can basically one-shot arbitration drones with this Ogress build and with a damage buff from Mirage. Or Oberon's Smite. Or Rhino's Roar. But I like to use Mirage because Mirage is cool. She has a bunch of clones. I can fire a bunch of weapons. So, for the Ogress build, let's look at that before I get into the Mirage build. Because Mirage is pretty simple. You want a shitload of strength and you want a shitload of duration because you want your Eclipse up as long as possible and you want your clones up for as long as possible and you want your Eclipse to stack as much damage as possible. It's very simple. This is what I use. Primed Firestorm for more AoE. AoE damage goes through walls, even better. Heavy Cal. You're probably like, negative accuracy. Who would want that? Well, since we're getting napalm at our rockets, you want the napalm to spread out as much as possible. So that's why we have Heavy Cal here, instead of like just Serration or something. But that's that. This is just a flex slot for me, to be honest. I like to reload. You can put whatever here. If you want more elemental damage, sure. But I think speed trigger's fine here for the reload. And of course I have this bad boy. If you don't have the arcanes for primaries, then just run Serration here, because arcanes basically replace Serration. But that's besides the point. Alright, on to the actual Mirage build. Let's get into this. Look at this. I'm dumping range. Screw range. Look at all that duration, or look at all that strength. I could probably squeeze more strength in here if I really wanted to. Do I want to? No, this does fine on everything I need to do fine on. If you're going to run this build with AoE weapons like I do, you need prime sure-footed, so you're gonna have to invest some form into Mirage here. But I think it's worth it. I love it. It's fun. It's great. Explosions everywhere. But other than that, like I said before I even looked at it, it's pretty basic. You just want to slam duration and slam strength. I have stretch on because I don't want to go negative, like super negative in range. But like, it really doesn't matter, That's the build. You don't really need any specific focus school for this, to be honest. You're never going to be running out of energy because of the long ass duration on your clones, on your Eclipse. So you really don't have to worry about that. Zanurk is, energy, you don't have to worry about it. If you want to do a melee only Mirage, then probably go Naramon so you can keep your combo counter up. You know, that would help. But I just have Madurai on. It gives you a 25% damage buff to elemental damage and physical damage, so you know, why not? What are we going on to next? So I already did the Ogress build. We already looked at the Mirage build. Very simple. I can go over her abilities real quick. Hollow Mirrors. These are your clones. They're insane. You get 4 of them. Why do people play Wukong? You get 1 clone. Mirage gets 4. What are you doing? Sleight of hand. This is good, but there's a specific build that makes it really good. And you basically stand in the middle of like defense maps and hit 1 button. You know, it's like old Saren basically. But that's not how I play Mirage. Or I have a build for it, but I don't really use it that much. Eclipse, your bread and butter, but it's kind of not the greatest thing in the world. So your Eclipse gives you a damage buff in the light, defense buff in the dark. Simple concept to understand, but the number on the buff lies to you. Okay, believe it or not, you know, things in this game aren't always 100% as they seem. The number of the buff will always say 390 or 95, but that's the max, that's the cap, that's the ceiling. Okay, it's actually based on how intense the light is. So like at maximum intensity of light, you're getting your maximum buff. At maximum darkness, you're getting your maximum damage buff. So you never actually know how much you're getting, but you can tell. Like I run an Eclipse Inaros on Profit Taker. I can feel the difference in my light buff to where if I'm standing in like light shade versus full sunlight when I'm fighting Profit Taker with Eclipse turned on. So you do notice after you play with it for a while. And then Prism is fine. If I were to subsume anything off of her, it's going to be Prism or Sleight of Hand. I don't think you need either of these. You're almost never going to use either of these. So it is what it is. I would run Mirage on Steel Path more, but she is really squishy. So for that, I would probably put on Hildren's Haven or Harrow's Condemn for shields. And Harrow's Condemn also can freeze the Acolyte, so I'd probably go for Condemn a little bit more over Haven. But I don't have Harrow or Hildren subsumed yet, so that's soon to come. But yeah, that's what I would do. And that would work fine with this build too. If I just slapped on a Condemn here, that would be perfectly fine. But those are her abilities. Clones, explosions, more damage, a little bit more defense, and a disco ball that does damage, but that's a cool little video they have for it. Let's watch that. It's pretty neat. Alright. More AoE on my secondary that I almost never use. If you're gonna go with a melee Mirage, which is fine, maybe probably want to Kuva Nuke Core there to proc enemies up with viral damage and heat damage. I have just a solid melee here that I have a Riven for. It's cracked. In case I ever need to use my melee versus my Ogress, but I'm almost never. Oh, actually, what am I doing? What am I saying? What am I talking about? Another fun trick. Mark 1 Furax. Why would you ever use this, you say? Why would you ever use these melee weapons? If you have a melee with a Riven on it, that's cracked. Well, if we go here, Amalgam, Furax at body count. More blast radius on launchers. Stacks of Fulmination. Stacks with Firestorm. Alright, it's cracked. This is the build I have here. If you don't have the augment, not the augment, the arcane, the merciless arcane, just run Serration in this slot right here. This is my insane cracked super sick Riven. It's really not that great. It's just good for the toxin and damage. As you can see, I rolled it 48 times. This is the best thing I got from it. But that's besides the point. But yeah, that's that. So I guess I'll go through, show the builds one more time, and I'll just go run a mission. Mirage build. Duration, range, you need prime sure-footed if you're going to run AoE, or else you're just going to be living on your face on the floor 24/7. Alright. Energize is cool. Arcane Aegis is cool. You really don't need arcanes. I'd recommend an Energize rank 3. You don't need R5, but that's besides the point. But that's a build. Look at that. Using duration and strength. That's literally it. I could dump the efficiency and I could dump the stretch for more strength if I really want that damage, but you really don't need it. So that's the Mirage build again. Ogress build with Nightwatch Napalm one more time. And then secondary build. And then melee, but I'm just using this for the amalgam mod. Alright. Moderai, use whatever focus skill you want though. And we have the Smita Kavat. Smita Kavat, because I run Mirage for arbitrations and relics. So I want more void traces, and I want more little arbitration essence store credit things when they drop. So that's why I'm running the Smita here instead of the Panzer that never dies. Alright. Let's go run a mission. Whee! I would do an RB, but like normally I sit in there for like 20. It's the disruption too. Ah, gross. Disruption. Do not like that arbitration at all. Tell me there's like an exterminate up or something. Capture. Oh, there's an exterminate. Axie. Perfect. Alright. What's a relic I have a lot of that I can afford to waste? I have 11 of C7s. Get me in there. And the cool thing about AoE damage is it destroys crates and stuff through walls as well. So the AoE on the Ogress is really cool for destroying crates through walls and possibly popping crates with ITAN stars in them. It is really nice. Let's skip this cutscene. I guess it's skipping itself, frozen like that. Alright. Pop our clones that are better than Wukong's clones. Alright, let's get out of here. And we just spam. Now this is also prime sure-footed at work here. If I didn't have prime sure-footed, I would be on my face eating dirt. But as you can see, this just turns the mission into a cakewalk. I could have a movie on my second monitor right now and just vibe and crack relics all day doing this. It's quite a good time. Again, that guy was above me, and I just looked at my mini-map and I'm like, okay, I have enough AoE to take care of him. I'll just shoot the floor. You know, the AoE with all these clones, absolutely cracked. Eclipse buff about to run out. Pop that. Pop that. Let's see, can we snipe these guys? Get out your dropship. Look at that. Yeah, so Mirage is very simple. You just blow shit up. That's Mirage. I think she'd be fine on Steel Path, but she's pretty squishy without any Helminth on her. Like I said, I'd get Condemned for Harrow for the shields, or I'd get Haven from Hildren for the shields, and you'd call it a day. And as long as you're being smart about popping them and keeping your shield up and your shield gate, you should be fine. But that's for Steel Path. Everything else, you don't really need to go that deep for survivability. Because it's the good old, how can they kill you if they're dead, you know? But yeah, Mirage is definitely one of my favorite frames. Pop my things again. And keep on rolling. And now we extract. Whee! And if I were doing the Steel Path, I wouldn't use the Ogress. I would use the Tsar instead, but that's for obvious reasons, because it kills Acolytes in like 2 shots. But the Ogress definitely has more AoE like range with the napalm and stuff. But that's Mirage. Thanks for watching. She's a great frame. She's very simple to build as long as you have a lot of strength, a lot of duration. You know, maybe if you just get her, she's your first frame somehow, whatever. Even if you have just a continuity, some intensify, maybe some of the auger mods, you get a pretty decent Mirage going for most of the game there. So weapons, you can use whatever you like. My selection is AoE because of, you know, as I just showcased, AoE is mighty fine if I do say so myself. So we're just nuking rooms. All right. Not much else to say here about Mirage. She's very simple, and I've said that like 80 times, so you probably get the idea by now. Thanks for watching. If there's another frame you want me to showcase, let me know. subscribe, like the video, comment, tell me it sucked, tell me you loved it. Interactions appreciated either way. I'm gonna get out of here. Adios.